Good afternoon, Griffin, Indiana. We are in the field harvesting, but not quite the crop we were expecting to harvest or the field we were expecting to harvest. That is because even though we put our corn over on field 7 in the ground early, it doesn't seem to have helped it dry out and get ready for harvest any sooner. So, yeah. Looks like we're probably going to be ending up harvesting all of our fields at the same time. But we're out here at field 4 helping out a neighbor farmer get his oats collected today. Big old field 9. That was the field we did a harvest on last year. That was corn, or not? Yeah, corn. That field is ready to harvest, but it doesn't seem like that farmer is really willing to, willing to let us harvest his field again. I don't know. I thought we did a really good job with it, but I don't know if he's upset with us or what. But he doesn't seem to want anyone to harvest that field right now, so we're just over here on field 4 doing a field of oats. It's 2:21 in the afternoon. Well, we had a rain yesterday, and it took a lot longer than I was expecting for everything to dry out. And while we wait, this video is brought to you by Optimus. Thank you for being a farm baron. So yeah, I guess our loss with respect to field 7 over there being ready to harvest is kind of our gain at the same time, because we're going to make a nice little bit of money off of this field. And speaking of money, we are at $127,000. We're not doing too bad on money. We're doing pretty good, actually. We had some pretty nice fertilizing contracts, as I alluded to last month. So that has helped us out a lot. In fact, if we wanted to, we could probably go ahead and put that order in for that new tractor. Because I believe the dealer was saying it was going to be about $105,000 for that tractor, as we demoed it last month. In fact, we might just go ahead and do that here in a little bit. But also 3. Count them 3. 1, 2, 3 weeks remaining till the release of Farming Simulator 22. Is that right? No. That's not right. Get your act together. 2 weeks remaining. Let's count that. 1, 2. That's simple. 2 weeks remaining until Farming Simulator 22 releases. How do I know that for sure? It's autumn. So this week is autumn. Next week is one week until Farm Sim releases. That's winter. That's when we're going to be rolling in the money. But yeah, because the Friday before, this is so ironic, and it's like I scheduled it this way, but honestly, I did not. It just really worked out. The Friday before Farm Sim Double Deuce releases, and I've said this before, is the last video, which is going to be Friday, late winter, year 4. I did not intend it to work out that perfectly, but it did. So that's really super cool. And as we started this series as a warm-up to 3-day seasons, or basically 1 month days, I need to properly refer to things within seasonal cycles terminology. We started playing this because it was the equivalent of 1 month days in FS22, which is, for the seasons mod of FS19, 3-day seasons, to get a feel for how much farming I felt we could probably get done for a reasonable amount of time during a given month. See how many fields I thought we could work. Did we run into any weather issues where, we completely missed planting windows, seeding windows, harvesting windows as a result of just having one game day to do something? And you know what? We haven't had any issues whatsoever. Maybe we've been super, super lucky. Maybe not. But, speaking of weather, the weather for the remainder of the year looks to be pretty dry. So it looks like we're going to have a really dry autumn, which is going to be great for getting our crops harvested. Because I completely am off. There we go. Perfect. So we've got dry conditions for autumn. We got dry conditions for winter. So that's pretty good weather with respect to being able to get our crops sold. So that is super cool. While we're unloading, let's go ahead and take a look at that tractor. See what it's going to cost us for realsies. So it was the 5S. And we had that with front hydraulic. We had it with narrow tires. And then we'll switch them back to regular tires. We had it with a GPS receiver and a GPS system added to it. We had it with the bigger engine. No, we had it with a smaller engine, didn't we? Yeah, we had it with the small engine. 105 horsepower for $104,000. Although we could kick it up to 145 horsepower and have it $124,000 and still have a couple grand left over to cover our expenses to get things done. We could add a front loader attacher to it. That would be probably convenient. Let's take it down to 135 horsepower. So $121,000. We get a front loader attacher, 135 horsepower tractor, GPS with narrow tires, and then yeah, there we go. Buy it. And then we can reconfigure it to standard tires when we don't need our narrows. So yeah, now we really need to earn the money to get our bank account back up. But that was pretty good. Now this contract is going to pay us out pretty good. This contract is going to pay us out $8,300 plus, of course, whatever we can sell the oats for. I'm going to hold our oats. Hold your oats. Why don't you? I'm going to hold the oats because that's not such a great price. That's not such a great price at all. In fact, looking at the seasonal area here, it looks like our best price is going to be in winter, just like it's going to be for canola and corn. So we're going to sell our oats when we sell the corn, hopefully, in winter to maximize our profits on this particular contract. sadly, the computer can cheat. And AI farmers can cheat because there was a contract here and I should have taken it because it paid out $13,000 as opposed to $8,300. But me, thinking I was being smart, I was going to take the smaller contract first, finish it, and then do the bigger contract. Should have been smarter and done the bigger contract first because I couldn't harvest this crop this morning because it was wet crop. So as I fast forwarded the clock to get to a state where we could harvest this field, the field directly in front of us went to a harvest state, and field 13 went to a harvest state. Basically, the AI farmer is able to harvest in the wet crop condition, and as such, the contract basically just went away from us. We had no ability to satisfy that contract. So since we had already taken this one, we had frozen the AI from being able to farm this field. Otherwise, this one probably would have went away, and we would have really had next to nothing to do today. So I am glad I took out that contract. I'm a little upset. I probably should have taken out the $13,000 contract. It was a bigger field. We would have got more money. It would have taken longer, but we'd also had more residual crop to make more money later. But still, we got $6,700 in the bank now. We're going to add $8,000 to that here in a little bit. And then in a couple of days, we'll probably add another $7,000 or $8,000 on top of that. So not that big of a deal. So as I think back on my FS19 gameplay, I think about what do I regret? What do I wish I would have had an opportunity to do, just never had an opportunity to do? I tend to personally try to live in a no regret type of an attitude where, you know, things happen, decisions are made, you move forward, you don't sit back and you think, oh man, if things were completely different, oh, I kind of regret making that decision. I wish I'd have made this other decision because things would have been so much better. That's the biggest load of malarkey I've ever heard, right? And you may or may not believe that, but you think things may be better. You think things may have turned out better if you'd have done A versus B or B versus A. But in reality, we all are a product of our decisions. So if we would have made a different decision, we would be a different product. And is that product better or worse than what the product is now? Your future decisions are a result of the product you are now. So it could be a cascading effect. One decision could alter something later down the road that presents itself as something completely different. And while you think you may be in a better place, you may be in a worse place because going down that one exit puts you somewhere completely different. That could be for the better, could be for the worse, but you never know looking back at it from a completely different point of view at that point. But at any rate, I think back about my gameplay in FS17 and the regrets I had in 17 I tried to not have in 19. And that was, I somewhat regretted not playing some maps that I always wanted to and just never had the time to. One of those maps, which I did have an opportunity to play and I made sure I took advantage of that opportunity to play, was Slovak Village by Mr. Hector. That map came out in FS17 during the mod contest of 2017. And at that point, I was involved in a series, or pre-recorded series. And then another map came up, and I got involved in that series. And then another map came up, and I got involved in that series. And before you know it, it's the end of 2018, and FS19 is coming out. And I always had regretted not being able to really get involved in a gameplay on Slovak Village. It later came out as a production version of Slovak Village for 17, toward the end of 17's run. And we had a very active FS17 multiplayer server for a few months after FS19 came out. There were some folks that didn't buy FS19 right away. They didn't feel compelled. They didn't feel the product was worthy of their money. Perfectly fine decision. So I maintained an FS17 server for them, and they put Slovak Village, the production version, on, and they had a great time for months. And that was great. So when he released it, or he was going to release it for 19, he knew that I was interested in the map, knew that I really liked it from the mod contest, and he gave me the opportunity to do a kind of a pre-release testing gameplay of it, show it off. And yeah, I jumped on that because it was definitely, this was the opportunity given back to me. I felt that I had an opportunity lost in 17, and then it circled back and said, hey, I know you really wanted to play this map. Would you be interested in testing it and doing some, some showing off of the map before release for 19 version? I was like, heck yeah, sounds great. This is my opportunity. Don't let that one pass up. I think what regrets, if I have any, with respect to FS19? There for a while, I got some severe mod burnout. I don't know if I necessarily regret that, or regret the process which led up to the mod burnout. But it was definitely something that did have an impact on the channel and had an impact on my overall gameplay. Honestly, for the rest of FS19. I don't know if it's a regret or not. But basically what it was is I decided when I decided I was going to expand the channel's focus a little bit when FS19 came out, and I was going to do some mod reviews, as well as the map videos and how-tos and some other stuff, as well as pre-recorded play series. And early on, it wasn't that big of a deal because mods weren't that hot and heavy. Well, 2018 happened, and what I decided to do, as opposed to doing like a daily mod show, I decided I would save them all up and do a weekend roundup. That's what I called it. I called it the weekend roundup. And basically the intro to that was something like, hey everybody, and welcome back to another weekend roundup on X Day. This is where we take a look at all the mods newly released in the Giants Mod Hub for the week of. And then I would give the date that was basically, the Monday of that previous week. And the idea was to take all of those mods from the previous week and record a video Friday evening, put it together, and basically release it over the weekend. Hence, Weekend Roundup. And it started out being a decent video, 15, 20, 30, 35 minutes. And it started moving into 45 minutes. And then it started moving into an hour. And then it started moving longer than that. And then next thing you know, it was part 1 and part 2. And before you knew it, it would take a literal 8-hour a day, or an equivalent of an 8-hour day, to put together a weekend roundup. And at that point, it was getting toward the end of the year. It's probably November time frame. I just said, all right, we're gonna commit to finish this out and throughout the rest of 2018. Or throughout the rest of, I guess it was 2019. And then we're gonna shelve it. And we shelved it. And it felt like this great weight, relieved off of me. And when I did that, I pretty much just stopped looking for mods. Completely. I didn't look on mod websites. I basically looked on the Giants Mod Hub for maps only for months. And then I decided, what if we retooled that? And that's where the new and noteworthies came back. That was the modified mod review of the early days, where the idea was to take and try to pull out a single mod from the day's release or from the week's release that really stood out as something unique. And by this point in time, there were thousands of mods on the Giants Mod Hub. I mean, right now, today, there are between 5,000 and 6,000 mods on the Giants Mod Hub. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers again, but there are a lot. A significant increase from the amount of mods that were released for any platform and put on the Giants Mod Hub as compared to FS17. So we would pick out, a good mod on any one given day and do a quick mod review, call it the new and noteworthies. Because at that point, we had so many different trailers, so many different types of tractor, various trucks, harvesters. It really something needed to really stand out to really be impactful, and that seemed to be well received. So I think that's what we're gonna probably continue that, hopefully into 22. Something just to differentiate the channel from other channels. That's why I call my map videos new first impression videos. It probably limits, to some degree, discoverability. Early on, when I started doing map videos, I didn't want anybody coming back and saying, hey, that's my thing. Why are you doing my thing? Map videos are my thing. Map tours are my thing. So I thought long and hard about what can I call this product that basically is a map tour or a map review to really kind of give it its own thing. And I came up with first impressions because early on, that is exactly what the videos were. I wouldn't go around looking at the map beforehand. I would literally boot the map up, hit record, and explore and figure it out in the recording. And that worked. It served well, but it also meant that some of the videos were a lot longer than they needed to be because it was a lot of unedited trying to look around and find things. So I decided, well, let's do kind of a precursor reconnaissance run of the map to get a general feel for where things are, how things are laid out, and then let's load it back up and hit record and go back through the entire map in a similar order to the reconnaissance I've done, and try to reiterate my thoughts when I was first looking at it as if I was first looking at it. And that's kind of been the format that we've done for the most of 17 and for all of 19. And that's why we call it first impressions. And I've seen some other folks pick that terminology up. I feel flattered that hopefully maybe they picked it up from my use of it. Maybe not. Maybe they just picked it up on their own because, again, I think not putting a big map tour on a thumbnail, which I have started to put the words map tour on a thumbnail, not putting the big map review or other things like that, may affect discoverability a little bit. And that's something I struggle with, is questioning, you know, how can I make videos that I am confident are a quality product and are under discovered? How can I make those products better discovered? And that's what I struggle with. I struggle with thumbnail making, quite honestly. Maybe that's a regret. I regret not being more artistic. And being able to come up with attractive thumbnails that draw you in. But I don't know if that's something that is innately learned, known, or something that you can pick up just over time. I think the thumbnails look better over time. But enough rambling about my regrets from 17 or how things progressed in 19, and maybe if I didn't push so hard with the weekend roundups, maybe I would have done a lot more mod reviews, been a bit more connected to the modding world as a whole, as opposed to kind of withdrawing back from mods and saying, just don't want to worry about mods too much. What do you regret coming down 2 weeks to the end of FS22? What do you regret with respect to FS22 in your gameplay? Anything you wished you could have played, you could have gotten to? Let me know down in the comments. Let's go ahead and check on the progression of this contract. 68% harvested. I got a feeling we're going to go unload this and we'll see where we are with respect to transported. and then we'll have a general idea of how much of what's left could be ours to keep. So delivering the entire trailer load got us to about 60%. I unloaded half the trailer, it said 30%. So I went ahead and unloaded the rest of the trailer. I assume it says 60% at that point. But yeah, now we are completely done. I'm going to go ahead and see. We don't have too much more to complete. Magical Field 9 has not come up as an option. So I think what we'll do is we'll haul this up to the sell point where they want us to drop it off at and see when it says we are done with our contract. And then we'll go and put the rest of that in our bin. Thankfully, we've got 3 bins. We only have 2 crops in the ground, so we have room to store these oats. That's why Field 9 was a perfect contract if we could have picked it up today. It was corn. It was a big field. I was going to borrow the equipment and use my own harvester to kind of double down on basically getting all of that done in a timely manner. We got 40% here. I mean, in theory, if half of the trailer was 30%, the other half was 60%, we don't have enough to be 100% because we would need another 50% or another, 9% to get to 90%. So we'll see what it takes. But the corn here looks pretty darn good. Stand of corn looks good. Weather's been good. Don't have any real corn knocked it down. So let's just zoom on up there and see how much we get to keep. And the ruling is... keep my fingers on the button. $5,700 liters, almost 5,800 liters of product left over. So we only ended up selling maybe $139 out of $400 some per thousand liters. So we only ended up selling a couple hundred extra. We probably would have had maybe around 5,800 liters worth of product. Now, if we can get 600 per 1,000 liters, that's pretty good money. That's going to be 600, 1,200 for 200, 2,400 for 4,000, 3,000 for 5,000. So not quite another $8,500, $8,000, but another $3,000 or $4,000. We'll collect our money. And just like that, I'm going to bid you guys a fond farewell. Good Monday morning to you all. Hope you all had a good weekend. And we'll check back here on Wednesday, where hopefully our corn is ready to harvest. I'd hate to think that we're going to go all the way into late autumn before we have an opportunity to get our corn out of the ground. I never like running into late autumn. It just feels like we're pushing our luck a little bit too much. Because with corn, we have basically through the end of early winter to get our corn out. But yeah, I never like to wait, because you never know what might crop up. So until next time, happy farming.